Junie B.Jones and a Little Monkey Business by Barbara Park. Chapter 7. Some School Words. I wore my brand new things back to room 9. They looked very beautiful on me, except my new pink high tops were too big, and my feet were very sliding around in there. Before I sat down, I looked at Lucille's red chair, then I tapped on her. I'm sorry, Lucille, I said, but red is my favorite color, and so I would like that chair of yours, I think. Lucille looked very upset at me, but red is my favorite color too, Junie B. I patted her. I know, Lucille, I said nicely, but you still must give it to me. It's the rules. And so she did. Now I'm the winner for sure, aren't I? She asked. I made my shoulders go up and down. I don't know, Lucille, I said. That Grace said she might have some cash in her purse. After that, Mrs. passed out construction paper, and we cut out autumn leaves for our bulletin board. Autumn is the school word for fall. We sprinkled our leaves with shiny glitter. Also, I sprinkled glitter in my hair, and I pasted some to my eyebrows. Then Mrs. confiscated the shiny glitter jar. Confiscate is the school word for yanked right out of my hand. Just then, Mrs. Guntsman knocked on the door. She came into the room with our milk and cookies. Hooray! Hooray for Mrs. Gutsman! I shouted to her. Guess what, Mrs. Gutsman? I get 3 snacks today. See, I have 3 snack tickets. Mrs. walked over to my chair. She stared down at me. How did you get 2 extra tickets, Junie B.? She asked. Did you find them on the playground? Then she took my 2 extra tickets away, and she held them way high in the air. Did anyone lose their snack tickets today? She said to the class. No, I hollered. Those are my tickets. Lucille and Grace gave them to me. Mrs. raised her eyebrow. Lucille, did you give Junie B. your snack ticket today? She asked. Yes, said Lucille. That's because she made me. No, I did not, you dumb Lucille, I said. I did not make you. Mrs. said, be quiet, to me. She folded her arms. Grace, did you give your snack ticket to Junie B. too? Then that Grace started to cry because she thought she was in trouble. Mrs. tapped her foot. Please come get your snack ticket, Grace, she said. And so then that Grace walked to my table in just her socks and made Mrs. made squinty eyes at her feet. Where are your shoes, Grace? She asked. That's when big fat baby Grace started crying very harder, and she pointed at her shoes. Mrs. peeped under my table. Junie B.Jones, she hollered, why are you wearing Grace's shoes? Mrs. sounded dangerous. Because, I said, kind of scared. Because why? Said Mrs. Because it's the rules, I explained. Then Mrs. bended down very close to my ear. What rules? The rules for who gets to be the first one to see my monkey brother, I said. Mrs. rolled her eyes way back in her head. Put your own shoes back on and come with me, young lady, she said. Then me and her walked in the hall together, and she made me tell her what happened on the playground. After that, I had to give Lucille back the locket and the sweater with the Scotty dog on it, and I had to give Grace back the real genuine fake ring from cereal. And then Mrs. wrote a note and she said for me to take it to the office. The office is where the boss of the school lives. His name is Principal. Yes, but I don't think I would like to go down there today, I said, or else my mother might get mad at me. Mrs. tapped her foot. Then she took hold of my hand. Let's go, young lady. March, she said. And so then me and her marched to the office. March is a school word for pulled me way too fast. Chapter 8. Me and Principal. The school office is a very scary place. It has loud ringing phones, and a typing lady who is a stranger, and a row of chairs where bad kids sit. Mrs. plopped me in a blue one. Wait here, she said. Yeah, only I'm not bad, I whispered just to myself, and then I put my sweater on my head so nobody would see me in the bad kid's chair. After that, I peeked down my long sweater sleeve, and I saw Mrs. out of my hand hole. She was knocking on the door of the principal's office. Then she went in there, and my heart got very pumpy because she was tattling on me, I think. After a while, she came out again. Principal came with her. Principal has a baldy head, which looks like rubber. Also, he has big hands, and heavy shoes, and suit made out of black. Could I see you in my office for a minute, Junie B?" he said. And so then I had to go in there all by myself, and I sat in a big wood chair, and Principal made me take the sweater off my head. "So what's this all about?" he said. "Why do you think your teacher brought you down here today?" Because, I said very quiet. "Because why?" said Principal. "Because that Grace shot off her big fat mouth," I explained. Then Principal folded his arms, and he said for me to start at the beginning. And so I did. First I told him about how I spent the night at my grandpa's house. We had delicious waffles for breakfast, I said, and I had 5 of them, only my grandpa didn't know where I put them all, except I put them way in here. And I opened my mouth and showed Principal where my waffles went. After that I told him how my Grandma Miller came home from the hospital, and she told me that I had a monkey brother, for really and honest and truly. So then I told the children at show and tell, and I said, and at recess, Lucille and that Grace started giving me lots of pretty stuff because they wanted to be the first to see him. Except too bad for me, I said, because when we came inside, Mrs. found out about the snack tickets. Then that dumb Grace shot off her big fat mouth about her shoes. So I got marched down here, and I had to sit in the bad kid's chair. Then I smoothed my skirt. The end, I said nicely. Principal rubbed his head. That looks like rubber. "Junie B, maybe we should go back to when your grandmother came home from the hospital," he said. "Can you remember exactly what she said about your brother being a monkey?" I scrunched my eyes real tight to remember. "Yes," I said. "Grandma Miller said he was the cutest little monkey she ever saw." Then Principal closed his eyes. "Ah," he said, kind of quiet. "Now I get it." After that he smiled a little bit. "You see, Junie B, when your grandmother called your brother a little monkey, she didn't mean he was a real little monkey. She just meant he was, well, cute." "I know he's cute," I said. "That's because all monkeys are cute, except for I don't like the big kind that can kill you." Principal shook his head. "No, Junie B, that's not what I mean. I mean your brother isn't really a monkey at all. He's just a little baby boy." I made a frowny face. "No, he is not a little baby boy," I told him. "He is a real, alive baby monkey with black, hairy fur and long fingers and toes. You can ask my Grandma Miller if you don't believe me." And so guess what Principal did then? He called her. That's what. He called Grandma Miller right up on the phone. And then he talked to her, and then I talked to her too. "Hey, Grandma," I said very shouty. "Guess what just happened down here? Principal said that my baby brother isn't a real alive monkey. Only he is, 'cause you told me that, remember? You said he was a monkey, for really and honest and truly." Then Grandma Miller said she was very sorry, but she didn't mean he was a real monkey. She just meant he was cute, just like Principal explained to me. And so then I felt very droopy inside. "Yeah, only what about all of this black hair and long fingers and toes?" I said. "And what about his bed that looks like a cage, and the wallpaper with his jungle friends on it?" But Grandma Miller kept on saying that my new brother was just a regular cute baby, and so finally I didn't want to talk to her any more, and I hanged up the phone, and I bended my head way down, and my eyes got a little bit of wet in them. "Darn it," I said very quiet. After that, Principal gave me a tissue, and he said, "I'm sorry," to me. Then he held my hand, and me and him walked back to room 9.